other video, but I am back. I had to put my phone on do not disturb. But like I said, let me introduce myself. So I am Key Chan, Kenyatta, but I like people to call me Kiki or Key Chan. And what do I do? I am a entrepreneur who makes money in the courier business, who makes money in the courier business transporting auto parts throughout Atlanta, Georgia. I had did a video probably like a month ago, where I gave y'all part one to how I got started in the cargo van business. And honestly, I don't know where that video ended. So I'm just going to give a quick breakdown of how I got started, and we'll go into part two. So I really pretty much got into this business because all of my homeboys, all of my friends pretty much have their own transportation business. At the time when they told me to get into this business 3 years ago, at the time we were doing they had semis. It was like right around the pandemic and all of that, and the transportation business was booming, and it was booming for black entrepreneurs, black owner operators. So they're like, you need to get into transportation. You need to get into transportation. You need to get your CDLs and get you a big rig. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, let me start studying for this thing. So I got a little app on my phone, and I started studying for the written CDL test. And it scared me. When they got to talking about air brakes and all of this stuff, I'm like, baby, I ain't gonna be able to do it. I ain't gonna be able to do that. So I'm like, okay, I don't think that's gonna be the thing for me. I don't think that's gonna be the getting a big rig. I really don't think that's gonna be the thing for me. So I'm like, let me see what else I can do. So at the time, I was transporting foster kids in my car. I was transporting foster kids. I would take them to therapy appointments, dentist appointments, school, pick them up from school. I was just doing all kind of things. If you're looking to do work in your car, that is one of the things that you can be a transporter for foster kids. And one of the programs that were hiring for this at the time that I worked for was Georgia Hope. I don't know what the program may be in your area, but you only had to have state required insurance. I think I can't remember what what I had, but I think it was something like 100, 350, something like that. Hello, people who are in as guests. I cannot see you. I don't know if you can drop questions. I don't know exactly how this goes. I don't know how the live on here goes. I don't know how the live on YouTube goes, but we giving this thing another try, right? So that is something that you can do in your vehicle. And I loved it. I met a lot of kids. I heard a lot of stories. I love doing it. They do pay you. They give you a gas reimbursement. They pay you hourly. And you pretty much pick your own schedule doing that, right? So that's what I was doing at first. So my homeboy's like, you need to get a big rig. You need to get your CDLs. So I'm like, I don't want to get my CDLs. I am scared. I'm scared. I don't want to learn about air brakes and all of that. I'm scared. I don't want to get my CDLs. So what other way can I get into the transportation business? So I start, of course, coming over here to YouTube University. I started coming to YouTube, watching different videos. And the first video that I watched, the first person that I seen was Jay Hustle. So I'm like, okay, Jay Hustle, like, get to how you can get in a cargo van business, get in a cargo van business, get your contract before you get your van. And I'm like, get your contract before you get the van? How do you get the contract before you get the van? What I'm going to do, go lie to the people? Then the people going to be asking me all these questions. I ain't going to know what to tell the people, right? Hey, people in here, I can't see y'all. I wish I could. I wish y'all could drop questions or comments or whatever. I don't know how to use YouTube Live. This is like my second time using it. So I'm sorry if we can't connect or talk, but maybe you can leave a comment and I can see it later, or a question, and then I can answer it for you, okay? But anyway, so I'm like, okay, Jay Hustles, I don't know what you talking about. So in the midst of that, I seen a girl. It was a girl. She had a Tahoe. She had a Chevy Tahoe, and she started talking about doing pharmaceuticals. So she was doing, excuse me, she was doing pharmaceutical deliveries in her Tahoe. So I'm like, okay, I can do stuff in my car. So I didn't need, so I watched her videos, and she really, I'm not going to say she was gatekeeping. I'm going to say that she wasn't really giving the information that I needed to learn how to do that in my car, right? And to do delivery in my vehicle, pharmaceutical delivery. So I'm also thinking like, okay, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can't. I am a convicted drug felon. I don't know if these people, honey, trust me to deliver their pharmaceuticals. They may think I'm still about that life. I don't know. But, I mean, I was like, maybe I give it a try when it's time. I believe in divine timing, okay? So I was like, okay, maybe that ain't it. So I was like, okay, I enjoyed doing my little transportation with the foster kids in my car. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I was doing Instacart on the side. I had tried DoorDash at the time. DoorDash was at BS, baby, because DoorDash had me going into the dang on. Yeah, DoorDash was at BS. DoorDash had me going way too far for way too little money. So I didn't like DoorDash. But, I'm just learning how to transport, how to deliver, get into the delivery service, right? So next thing I know, I see my homegirl. I see my homegirl online. I see her in different states. I see her in her cargo van. And I'm like, dang, okay, maybe this is meant for me. I'm like, okay, maybe I do transportation. I'll do it in my cargo van. I don't want to do transportation I don't want to get a semi. I don't want to be in a big old truck, worried about air brakes, worried about this, worried about that, worried about if people gonna pull out in front of me, if I'm gonna hit a person. Let me do a cargo van. Cargo van, it look more like a car. It'll just big. I like big trucks. I done had Tahoes, Expeditions. I done had all kind of big trucks. So I'm like, I can drive a big old cargo van. That ain't gonna be nothing, right? So I'm like, okay, let me ask her a couple of little questions. I'm not saying she wasn't gatekeeping. I'm not saying she was gatekeeping. Maybe I'm saying maybe she didn't know exactly what to tell me how to get into the business. Now, she did share her resources with me and was like, just call them this and that, but she didn't like break it down. And I am the type of person, baby, I still read paper books. You got to give me the book so I can read it. I can hold it in my hand. I can understand. You cannot, like, I can't listen to Audible because I'm not going to get it. You got to put it in my hand. So I'm like, maybe I'm not understanding because it ain't in my hand. But I did reach out to her people, and the man was like, yeah, you got to have a cargo van, this, and that. So I'm like, okay, I'm preparing to go out of town for my birthday. My sister had booked me a trip. My sister's I'm gonna call her a birthday planner because she is the bomb at planning getaways or whatever. So she booked me a trip, booked for us to go to Vegas for my birthday. So I was just like, you know what, God, if it's meant for me to get into this cargo van business, just send everything my way. Just send it my way. I don't know nothing about this business. I don't know nothing, God. I don't know how I'm gonna get a contract because Jay Hustle done said get the contract before you get the van. My friend done gave me the connects. Like, I'm like, I don't know, God. Whatever's meant, baby, make it happen. That's all. Just make it happen, God. But in the midst of this, I'm like, I know faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith you want in the world, but you still have to put in the work. So I was like, in the midst of this, let me start looking for me a van. Now, big God, big Father, thank you. If it's meant for me to get this van, you make it happen. So I got on Gurus. And I tell anybody this. I got on Gurus and I got to looking for a van. And it was a van in Jackson, Georgia. And so I'm like, okay, let me go. Oh, let me rewind this story back a little bit, right? Okay, so just a little bit to rewind it back. I also was used to go to this nail shop on the west side. If you from Atlanta, you know the west side, right? I used to go to this nail shop and I used to see this lady, and I cannot think of this lady name to this day, but I used to see her in a van. So when she used to come in her cargo van, she'll come, me and her just used to talk all the time. And she used to pull up in her cargo van, get her little cause at the time we wasn't getting the mink lashes, we was getting the clusters, and we were letting the Chinese people do the clusters, right? So I see her. So we just got to talking about the cargo van industry and just talking about different stuff. I ain't know shit. So really, she just doing the talking about the delivery and all this and all of that. But I had got her number because I feel like, okay, especially in Atlanta. I don't know if you in Atlanta. I don't know where you from. I don't know if you're an entrepreneur. If you watching this, but I do know as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to network. You get people number and you get people name and you get people IG, and you never know when you may need to connect with these people, collaborate with these people, or whatever. But in Atlanta, you always ask somebody, what do you do? Because, baby, it's a lot of entrepreneurs here, and we all collaborate and whatever. And you never know when you may need them. So I'm like, let me just get this lady number, because I do know that I want to get into this field, but I don't know how to get into it. But let me get her number. So she had gave me her number. This was probably years before I even thought about getting into this. But I remember she had that cargo van, and when I knew that I needed to reach out to her, I reached out and I was like, hey, this is Kiki from the nail shop. She was like, baby, I know who you are. You know this is this, because she was an older lady. And so she was like, so I was like, who did you get your van from? And she told me to go to Cowboy. I can't remember his name, right? So this is like years later after I met the lady, y'all, now. So I'm like, okay. So as I got on Car Gurus, I was looking at a van, right? So Car Guru kind of don't tell you what dealership it is until you fill out the information. Just so happened, this is how God connect the dots, right? Just so happened, the same dealership that she told me to contact the man was the same dealership that I found my van on Car Gurus. How they connected, nothing but God, right? So I end up reaching out to her person that she sent me to. He was not there. So the receptionist was like, he's not here. Let me put you on the line with Doc. So I'm like, okay, put me on the line with Doc then, you know. Me and Doc end up working together, and he like, okay, come down. You gotta hurry up and come down. I got a van. Is he this here? This and that. So I'm like, okay. I tell my sister, like, hey, let's go down and see about this van. But this is before I get ready to go to Vegas, y'all. I hope you picking up what I'm putting down, because the story kind of going, like, you know. But hey, if you can catch on, you're catching it, right? So look, okay. We go down to Jackson, Georgia. If you know anything about Atlanta, I don't live close to Jackson. I think Jackson, Georgia is probably like maybe almost 2 hours from me. So by the time I get down there, it is some men, it's some Africans in there. And so Doc like, yeah, thank you for your paperwork and this and that. But these men beat you to the punch. They beat you. I was like, they beat me, but you already knew I was coming down here. But you know, the little dealership, baby, they do what they want to do. So he was like, well, yeah, but they gotta have 10,000 down. If they don't get approved, then the van will go to you. So I'm like, this the last damn van or something? He was like, well, for the van that you want, because what I did know, I had watched somebody's video and they was like, get a high roof van. Get a high roof van. So that's what I knew. I wanted a high roof van. And I know I didn't want a damn Mercedes van. I know that I wanted a Ram ProMaster. So I knew some things, right? So So I'm like, okay, so they got to get approved for $10,000, and I'm looking like they Africans. They got, damn it, they got $10,000. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wait, because I'm also like, hey, whatever meant for me is meant for me. But guess what, y'all? Honestly, in my mind, I was like, what's meant for me is meant for me. But you know how the enemy creep in and get the talking to you, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it ain't meant for me to get no van, but whatever. So he was like, okay. I was like, so y'all don't got no more vans nowhere? He like, no, because at the time, y'all, Amazon had came through like the tsunami, and Amazon was buying all of the cargo vans up. If y'all remember this was in like 2021. Amazon was coming through buying 1,500 vans, 1,000 vans. Amazon was buying all the vans because they already knew what their plan was. They already knew that delivery was going to be the number one industry today. They already knew. Amazon already be way ahead of the game. So they buying all the vans up. So he like, yeah, Amazon done bought all the vans, bought all the vans up or whatever. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, let me just fill out my paperwork or whatever need to be filled out. I need you to run it through my business. At the time, y'all had just started my business, my logistics service. I had just started it. So I'm like, honey, I'm telling them to run my shit, run it. See, I ain't one post cuss, excuse me. Run it through Ali, however you say it, Ally. Run it through them because I knew that they was number one, a new bank. I am an entrepreneur. I don't got check stubs. I'm just saying. But if you know, like huh? We do what we do and we make shit happen. So whatever. I got a bank account and I don't got no check stubs because I'm an entrepreneur and I get my money how I get my money. But I got a bank account that you can see that there's money in it. Okay? So I'm telling him, whatever, run my stuff through them. I know they a new bank. They ain't checking that much. So he like, well, yeah, we'll run it. But when they ran it, my business wasn't that established, duh. And it was like, no, we're gonna have to, you can't use your business. So I'm like, okay, well, use me. I mean, my credit score ain't bad at all. Like, let's run it. It ain't the best, but it ain't horrible. So they was like, okay, cool. So they ran it. And I got approved, whatever. But he told me I still had to put $5,000 down. Okay, cool. I got $5,000. Let's go. What we doing? He was like, okay, but we still waiting to see if they get approved, if they gonna come up with the 10,000 or whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. I said, well, let's do this. I'm getting ready to go out of town. And let me know what's up. I'll be back down here if I need to come back down here. But I'm getting ready to go out of town because at the time, like I said, y'all, it was my birthday and I was finna go to Vegas and kick it. But at the same time, like, I'm like, whatever's meant for me is meant for me, right? So he like, okay. So when we get to Vegas or whatever, finally, he ended up reaching back out to me and he was like, I found you a Miss, I almost say my last name, Miss Chan. I found you a van. Your van, I found you a brand new van. It got 8 miles on it because this van, it had more miles on it. It wasn't an old van, but it had more than 8 miles. He was like, it got 8 miles on it. When will you be back in town? So I was like, I'll be back in town because I had did 2 trips. So I was like, I'll be back in town sometime in the middle of the week when the van be there. He was like, well, the thing is the van is stuck at the port. So if y'all remember in 2021 when all of the stuff was stuck at the port, do y'all remember that? If you can remember that, when everything was stuck at the port. So I'm like, okay, what I need to do to get my van from the port? He was like, well, we're going to go get it, but we just got to go get it. Remember, we in Jackson, Georgia. They not that far from the port. The port that we have in Georgia is in Savannah. So they wasn't that far from the port to go get my van. So I'm like, well, Doc, I'm getting ready to go back out of town. So when I come back, will my van be there? He like, yeah. So that's what happened. I was able to get my van for a long time. What happened? Was I not supposed to move? Let me know. Let me find out. Why is it stuck? We back moving, we back moving, we back grooving. I see the time going, but my picture is stuck. This is getting weird. YouTube. Somebody must was trying to call me. I put my phone on do not disturb. They done disturbed. What I supposed to do, y'all? Let's see. Oh man, it's stuck. Let me go out and come